Woody was a great player. He was one of the best players in the section back then, and he was always a great ball striker. But more than anything else, he was just a great guy.
Woody was more of a precision player probably than I was. He was a very straight driver of the golf ball, and I think that he probably gave up some potential distance.
My first impression with Woody was that he was short. I mean, short off the tee. Very easygoing person, but he did have a temper, and there were times when he would get angry, he would play even better than he normally did. And one time we were playing in the two-man team match play at Fauquier Springs. Our opponents brought a very attractive female who was quite often in our line of sight. So I told Woody that it was on purpose to disrupt him. And at that point, he rattled off about 5 birdies, and that was the end of the match.
I know he was a good friend of Mac Main's. I could see that influence absolutely, that just the style, the concentration, the tenacity that they both had and have with golf.
The day I remember deciding I was going to make a career in golf was I was in college. I had played a full season at the Longwood Golf Course with Mac Main helping me almost every day. And I came back to the fraternity house, and behind the fraternity house we had a row of electric poles, and the vegetation had been cut away from those poles maybe about 10 yards, 15 yards wide, and it went up over top of this mountain. And I was thinking so hard, what did I want to do when I got out of college? And I said to myself, if I can hit a drive right up that line of poles and not hit the trees on either side, I'm going to become a golf pro. And I got up there, I put the tee in the ground, I hit the greatest drive ever, went right up over top of all the poles. Then when I saw it go up there, I said, okay, I'm going to be a golf pro. And that's what I decided to do right then and there.
I think as a PGA professional, he epitomizes the good business practices in running his range.
The way the driving range started was one day a man who I'd given a lesson to in 95-degree heat was sweating profusely, and he decided to grab my sleeve and wipe his glasses first with my sleeve, and then he wiped his forehead with my sleeve. And so I went back up to Claire Emery at that time and I said, do I have to take that? And he says, as long as you want to work here, yes, you do. And so I determined in my mind at that point that I was going to have to be my own boss.
He was a forward thinker and tried to bring things to the range that it just wasn't a pasture to go hit golf balls. He was one of the first places to put out the very small target. You know, other places have certainly emulated that, but he was at the forefront of that, and I think that was one of the reasons his range was as successful as it was.
Woody was always a super hard worker. We always thought he was printing money with that driving range he had over there, and still has. It used to be considered way out in the country, but it was always crowded, and he had, you know, all the range mats, he had batting cages, he had putt-putt, he has everything there, and he just was sitting there to go to work and count his money, and at least that's what everybody believed, and I still believe that, Woody.
My wife is just a sainted soul. She is supportive as the day is long, and even this morning, even though she knew my shoes would not be in the picture, she polished my shoes. This is the kind of wife that I have, and she was the kind of wife that would pick golf balls beside me when she was about to deliver the baby the next day. So she was with me constantly and is a great companion, and I love her more now than I ever have. And as for my children, 3 of the greatest kids ever. We've never had a bit of problem. They are just fabulous people.
People might know about his playing record, and certainly it's a great one, but they don't know about him. And I've had a chance in the last few years to get to know him, and I've seen him as a dedicated person, dedicated to his business, to his family, and to God.
He actually had a pretty great impact on me back then when I was in the Middle Atlantic, you know, with his beliefs and the way he carried himself. So Woody's wonderful man.
He's just a very giving person, and in a quiet sort of way, with no flamboyance. And I think that's one of his qualities, that he's got a big heart.
I thought when he came in and founded Jeremiah House, this is something that's different. It's a dedication that's outside of golf, and I admired that very much, still do.
The reason behind the Jeremiah House was that God calls us to help others in need, and I saw a drastic need, especially in that period of time, for a home where women could come and have their baby and be counseled for Christian counseling. Well, I think it absolutely is the best thing that I've ever done for my community.
Well, I think everybody's aware, you know, how many tournaments he's won, especially at what we consider our majors, you know, the section championship, the state opens and so forth and so on, player of the year, leading money winner, all those barometers. But he was never a self-promoter or looking for a lot of fanfare. He did everything kind of quietly.
I believe that anybody who has reasonable skill could do what I did. You just have to work at it.
He worked at being a good player and being the best player that he could. I think he enjoyed competitive golf, but I think his true enjoyment came from being, you know, the best player that he could be. Woody's legacy to the MAPGA is, I think, covers several areas. Certainly as a competitive player, he had a long competitive career. He was, you know, at the top of his game for a number of years. The other part would be his PGA professional operation of the driving range as a PGA professional, as a businessman, running a good operation that reflects credit on the MAPGA, and also you know, as a contributor to the community and elevating the standards of a PGA profession.
What I would hope that people would remember me for would not be the titles or you know, the fact that I played well. All of us have played well. If you play golf at all, you've hit as many good shots as I've hit. But what I would like to be remembered as is being a person who was seeking after the best in me. That would be my legacy, is that I was a hard-working guy that didn't have a whole lot of talent, that made the most of what I had.